Well, hello everyone. It's Friday evening and I was lucky and was off today. Did not have to go in and work no overtime. That didn't make any money, but it's good to have a Friday off where you don't have to work. And it's a miserable, wet, cold day. I think the temperature was about 35 degrees about an hour ago. And me and my friend took off this morning and went up to Wilson to the Red Barn, which is a hobby shop. And he is into HO scale trains. And they also sell other RC stuff like airplanes, boats, helicopters, a few other things. Really disappointed me. I know y'all probably seen in some of my videos, you might catch a glimpse of an RC plane or something, but I've been in RC planes for over 30 years and I enjoy them. The big problem is the shop is so full that I just don't have room in here to work on them no more. I know you're seeing this big box here on the bench and wondering what it is, but we'll get to that in a minute. My plans is to take that room over there that is basically full of storage. There's actually a workbench buried in there. I know it's hard to see it, but trust me, there is a workbench over there. And tubes and a slew of old ham radios and equipment and so forth over there. But planning on in the future that a lot of that is going out of here. And I'm going to remodel part of the garage to use for storage, to put a lot of this stuff in so I can get that room cleaned back out and get back into my RC plane building. You know, you can never have enough hobbies. Keeps the mind young, keeps you going. And I really miss working on my airplanes. I have over 14 stick-built planes. Some of them ranging from wingspans up to 13 foot. And then some down with, 2 foot wingspan. So, yeah, all this mess has got to go out there and make room if I can get back to doing that. But anyway, we went up there, and something I went up there with was, I know they carry a bunch of hobby parts and tools and stuff, and I've been needing another set of good quality drill bits for circuit boards. And some of this stuff you buy on eBay, it just doesn't last. So I was able to go up there and pick up this little pack. It was $22.40. And when you get in drill bits this small, you no longer go in bit size, you actually go in what's called wear size. So there's 2 stacks of little drill bits here, and they are numbered. I think it goes from about 61, which is 039, all the way up to 80, which is 0135. And not a bad little kit, but these are good quality bits. None of that China stuff, but yeah, I could have got some off of eBay for $6-8 or so, but I decided to go ahead and get some of these while I was there, so they were a lot better quality. Also picked up a bottle of Flux that I happened to see that was up there, and that's from the Antique Barn in Wilson, North Carolina. And haven't even opened it up yet, but it's clear Flux. It's like $4.73 for the bottle. Like I say, most of the time I make my own Flux, but I decided just to try some of this while I was up there. I think it was cheap enough, One thing, they sure pack it in that bag pretty tight. But it's called Tix Flux, TIX Flux, and it's a like a nail polish brush in it, but it's a clear flux. And I think we might see how that does on SMT stuff. Might be some pretty decent stuff. Very hard to read the label on it. I just about had to put it under a microscope. I mean, but you can barely see the label. Like they weren't thinking about their product when they made this. But you know, flux is flux. But we'll try it out and see what it is. Anyway, back to this big box here on the bench. One of my mentors, which is now passed on and gone to that big electronic shop in the sky, basically taught me most everything I know on ham radio. Even 10-15 years before I got my license, I used to go out with field day on him and help him work the high Earth orbit satellites, and that was a blast. Well, later on he kind of got divorced, and I think he wanted to live his second childhood and got out of ham radio for a while, and went on with his second childhood. And then later on in life he grew up again. Let's just say that, and he got back into ham radio, and he was a technician just about his whole ham career into the last 7 or 8 years, and he finally moved up to general and got into HF. Well, he was a avid 6-meter DXer, and he got into 6 meters and was having a blast with it, and he kept telling me, you got to get you a 6-meter radio. So I went online and finally I picked up a 6-meter radio, and what I bought was that little MFJ I think it was 9604, little compact single sideband unit, and I hated it. It had terrible frequency response. The volume wasn't that good. Tuning was a pain. It was just not what I wanted in a radio. So I took the radio down and tore it all to pieces, and used the main circuit board out of it and done a lot of mods and got the radio working like it should work and put some better filtering in it. And this was the end results of that little MFJ radio. And I'll turn it on. And you see, not only do we have an analog dial, but we also have a digital frequency readout. And this really helped on the tuning. This was an old PAL VFO, and I think I got another one around here somewhere. No idea where it's at. But you know, I have this little tram VFO over here, and it was, you know, designed for CB radios, but I find it useful sometime when I need a variable frequency output. When I'm working on something, I'll grab this and turn it on, and this will produce a 5 megahertz single with a pretty good span on it, you know. So if I'm working on an oscillator that needs to put out 5 megahertz and it's not doing, I can compensate using that. So I tore the PAL down and got it rigged up and got everything mounted, and then I wanted a digital display. Well, back years ago, I had went online and bought several of these CRC 100 digital displays, and they're from Digilog. Now the thing about these displays is that when you plug them up, the first digit was always a 2 for 26, to 27 megahertz, because they were made to go on CB radios, and it's just hot wire, ground wire, excuse me, and a little coax cable to tie into an oscillator. And if you watch the video where Paul up at Mr. Carson's lab built the Nixie tube counter the digital readout, he had little switches to change to set up this as a to read different frequencies. And this is basically how this little device is designed. So you would tie it into an oscillator, and you would change these rotary switches until you got the right frequency on the display. Well, it happened to work fine for the oscillator that's in this little MFJ board, but the only thing, it had a 2 on it. And as you can see now, there is a 5 on it for 50 megahertz. And this will go, if I go all the way down, it'll go from 50.000, and the oscillator in this will go all the way up to 50.308. The 5 never changes, it's always the same. So all I done was just pop the board out and rewired the first LED to read a 5. It's hardwired to read 2. Just pull the jumpers out, move them around, and you can get a whatever 0 through 9 up here that you want. So I installed that in the radio. That was a mistake. After I put it in there, this thing was generating so many birdies that it just wrapped the receiver up, and it would put about a S6, S7 over here on the little meter. So I had to go in there and shield it, and actually got it to work, and it works pretty good now. I get no birdies whatsoever out of it. So I was very happy with that. Well, after Doug passed away, I finally got me a 100 watt 6 meter rig. This little jewel puts out about 10 watts. But I've always had a project I wanted to do, and that was to put a 6146 final in this radio, because I got plenty of room to do it. So I think that's going to be a project that I will work on sometime in the future. Can't get to it right now. We just got too much to get to. But it has the MFJ microphone. Here's a little noise in the background. But it's something I might sit down and design sometime in the future. I think that would be a good video on designing a 6146 output in this radio. I'll pop the case off so you can see what's on the inside. So the case is just 3-piece, it's solid wood, and unbolted the sides, and it just slides right off. And all you can see is just 1/4-inch plywood with some triangle stock in here, or shoe molding if you will, and it's all glued together, and it's held up real good. But this radio got put aside in storage and has been there ever since. And I'm out this afternoon looking for something, and I actually found this sitting in the corner with some stuff on top of it. And I said, I think I'll drag this thing out. And plugged it in, and she's still working. Well, as you can see, there's our 9604 main circuit board, and more added crystal filtering with it. And this is our VFO capacitor cage. I completely changed out the VFO from the original MSJ VFO because it wasn't very stable. This one seems to work pretty well, and especially being, you know, a reduction drive, it's a whole lot better than what the original was. I have an output transistor here mounted on this heatsink with a larger heatsink up here behind it. And to solve the noise generated from the frequency counter, this is an old case off a CB radio. I think it was one of them little tiny Midlands, and I just made a box for it to house the frequency counter and put feed-through caps on it to power it, and that worked out real good. Now it's sitting on standoffs about 3 inches above the chassis. This old chassis came from some kind of amplifier. I have no idea what was originally used for. I almost believe it was a stereo amp or something. So I salvaged this chassis and had a piece of aluminum, made the front panel, and put in it. I went online and ordered a brand new I think it was a 10 amp power supply, one of those little small power supplies, you know, and I ripped the guts out and mounted it all in here. And see, there's all series pass transistors mounted below chassis, and over here is the regulator board sitting in there. So, you know, there's still a lot of room in this radio to make further expansions. One thing I can do is rip out the power supply and put a good heavy transformer in here and get my DC voltage to run the radio off of that instead of using this transformer. And then this will give me our power that we need for our B+ to run the tubes. I was thinking about coming here and building a cage and putting our load and tune capacitors in here and have them come out the side to adjust, to set the you know, the plate and load tuning, and you know, just build a metal cage where the back comes off to get to it from the back to service it. We have plenty of room underneath the radio. Probably the only thing I would need to do is come under here and shield the bottom of the circuit board. I didn't do that since there was nothing else in here but just this terminal lead and our series pass transistor wiring. And when you put the metal cover on the bottom, it's already shielded. So I might have to build another box over this to cover that up. Actually, if I get it just right, I could put the load and tube capacitor underneath the tube on the underside of the chassis and wire it through with you know, with some solid wire to go to the tubes and RF choke. I have two controls here that are not populated for anything yet. They were just to fill up this area in the front so I could put the shafts through to the tuning and load capacitor right here. So just something to think about, you know. after I put this radio together, I will say even with 10 watts and a 6-element beam up at 55 foot, I had a blast, and I worked all kinds of DX with this old radio. I later had bought a Kenwood 6-meter radio, and then I got the Kenwood TS2000, and I sold the Kenwood 6-meter radio. But this got put in storage and has been there ever since. And I'm always the type of person that hate to let anything just sit around and do nothing. So maybe we'll use this as a project for a future video. If nothing else, just to show how to build a single tube 6-meter amplifier. So this would probably be a good project to do that in. I don't usually I haven't done any amplifier repair videos, although I do work on quite a few of them from time to time. In fact, a few weeks ago I had a Henry 2K in here, and I had to tear it down and replace some parts and get it together and get it back to the customer as quick as possible, because he wanted to run a contest with it. So I think it would be a fun project to sit down and build the amplifier to go in this. Anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to share this with you. If I wouldn't have been out in the storage and saw this, there wouldn't have been a video on it today. But yeah, it just brings back a lot of memories. Anyway, so if you think that would be something that would be interesting, you can let me know by leaving your comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, always could use a thumbs up. So anyway, we'll conclude that, and I just think it was fun to get in there and find something that I haven't seen in quite a while, and just thought I'd share it with the group here. Anyway, until the next video, we'll see you then.